city, its streets littered with scattered papers declaring the end of the war following the defeat of Android 17.
Don't expect any help from me. You'll have to learn to protect yourself.
Please collect all the Dragon Balls around the area.
Inside the building, the key blast he retaliated against his own. But another explosion followed instantly. Crate of police arrived to attack, escaped from the area, knows he can't stop. Eventually, he arrives at a hidden basement and is met by overwhelmed with grief. Trunks breaks the news. Bulma has been found and killed. He struggles to hold back his emotions as Mai embraces him in his pain. Sharing a can of preserved Trunks explains power up the time machine before she died, but only enough to allow a one-way trip. Handing her the last card, tells her if it's going to travel 17
to the time machine.
alternate
Any Dragon Balls you can obtain.
when it's later.
Oh crap, my teeth! I think I'm a little mad now.
The Dragon Ball has been sent. Please give me the remaining Dragon Balls.
Damn it! I be having trouble getting traps like this!
And the others relax and enjoy some good food. Jumbo gives Bulma serious offense. It brings up that her sister, Tights, tipped him off, that she might be up to illegal research. Bulma says she has no interest in time travel so long as things stay peaceful, but Jumbo questions how she can possibly know.
All the Dragon Balls are here. Please do your best.
Time scheme, but Jumbo knows that ability can't alter the past and exceptions. Presently, Trunks with an action of some questions weeks about his ability to rewind time. More specifically concerning when Frieza destroyed the Earth. So does this mean there's another world that died? Whis describes it not as time travel, but more like revisiting a specific moment with a different decision. Flustered, Bulma struggles to come up with a good excuse. Back in the ruined future, he asks why Trunks programmed into the time machine, and if he changes them, he may never make it back to the same world with the same people. In both timelines, the androids were ultimately stopped and peace was restored until someone new showed up. Trunks doesn't know how this mysterious figure keeps finding him, but he suspects that it's because the enemy hasn't learned to see his life. And the two of them prepare for what's coming next. That's both of them. Zeno, the so-called doesn't engage in battle. Rather, with his absolute authority, he can erase events. As Beerus munches on the last bit of food, he admits that this is exactly why everyone gets so nervous when Goku interacts with Zeno. Trunks and Mai move cautiously through the underground sewer, heading to the capsule operation. Shouts for Mai to get to the time machine while he holds the enemy off. But turns and Trunks is at his side. Just the catcher, holding onto her hand all too familiar enemy with an
Please fight it.
Using the attack as a diversion to close the distance with a streak of sword followed by a series of rapid punches. However, the assault falls short. The advance of Trunks' attacks and vanishes
and restore the gaining force to its former glory.
To his neck. Could defeat him. The enemy Just as the finishing to survive, and he instinctively uses his belt and shield to hold himself as the enemy tries to pinpoint Trunks' position. The time machine bursts out of capsule corporation with Trunks himself and fires vortex like a command for Trunks vanishes narrowly escaping through time.
Lower class warrior.
Beerus interrupts
I'll play with you a little.
recording session by
Just
showing
as I
his
suspect from Satan
destruction.
I can tell you just as dangerous as you are harmless.
Appears and suddenly crashes down from the sky, catching everyone completely off guard. Present-day Trunks investigates and examines someone is inside and hurt. Bulma realizes it's future
ready for real,
Master?
Ready to pose?
He rushes off the
Getting
tower
close, yeah, but changing the perfectly teach you how to groove.
Surprised but unharmed, he suddenly blocks regaining his composure. Trunks struggles to understand that Goku was still alive after being killed by Cell in this timeline. As Bulma and Vegeta begin questioning him about what happened, Beerus and Whis realize that he shares the same name, Trunks, confirming that Trunks' father is once again at play. Goku is but Trunks clarifies that the Supreme Kai intervened in helping him defeat both Dabura and Babidi, preventing Buu's return. Beerus and Whis cut in, prompting Bulma to admit that it was her future self who had built the time machine, thus explaining the similarities between the two Trunks. Beerus threatens to destroy Bulma for tampering with time, but Vegeta, uninterested in the technicalities, demands details about the new threat in Trunks' timeline. Trunks explains that the enemy is a relentless figure who travels from planet to planet, wiping out humanity in the name of a warped sense of justice. Even his mother, future Bulma, was killed by this individual who strangely looks exactly like Goku. Before she died, Bulma gave him a name, Black. Beerus is baffled by the entire situation, while Goku and the others agree that they need to do something. Trunks, however, notes there was only enough fuel in the time machine for a one-way trip, so he had no choice but to escape to the palace. Vegeta, ashamed his son ran from a fight, berates him, and Bulma cuts in, exclaiming he and Goku should be involved in to himself. Is currently working on. It will take about whether he can hold his own. So, Goku proposes a sparring match to compare strength. Trunks powers up, crackling with lightning, prompting Goku to compliment him and transform as well. As the two begin trading blows, Trunks holding his own quite well, Beerus notes that both are currently fighting in their Super Saiyan 2 forms. Whis then remarks that Trunks might be Trunks notes it had been more than 10 years since then, and that he's trained himself to death. Goku then escalates to Super Saiyan 3, impressing Trunks, who responds by powering up even further himself, enough to surprise even Vegeta, who says that Trunks is just as strong as Goku's Super Saiyan 3 form now. Trunks charges in with an attack, but Goku catches him off guard with a swift kick from behind, knocking him to the ground. Beerus observes, noting that Goku briefly tapped into his god form. Trunks notes that even with all this power, he was still no match for Goku Black. Goku invites Beerus to come along to the future, but the God of Destruction refuses, instead questioning what his counterpart in Trunks' timeline is doing while this chaos unfolds. Trunks, confused, admits he doesn't even know what a God of Destruction is. This revelation immediately grabs Whis' attention. If the Supreme Kai helped in Trunks' battle, what happened to him? Trunks explains that the Supreme Kai was killed during the fight. Beerus reacts with alarm, and Whis calmly explains that the God of Destruction and the Supreme Kai are spiritually linked. If one dies, the other dies as well. That means Trunks' timeline no longer has a God of Destruction at all. Several years ago, in future Trunks' timeline, Kibito and the Supreme Kai quietly observe as Trunks trains diligently with the legendary Z-Sword. Just as the Supreme Kai prepares to bring the session to a close by hurling a massive cube forged from Kachin, the hardest known metal, Kibito suddenly alerts them that Babidi has begun making his move. Confident they can stop Majin Buu's resurrection before it begins, the three immediately set off. Trunks, however, politely asks if they could fix his clothes before they go. Later in the battle, a bloodied Supreme Kai and Kibito bear witness to Trunks clashing with Deborah while Babidi gleefully looks on. During the fight, Deborah spits on the Z-sword, forcing Trunks to drop it to avoid being turned to stone. The sword shatters into pieces, killing the old Kai trapped inside, unbeknownst to everyone. It becomes painfully clear the Supreme Kai miscalculated. Pui Pui and Yakon were nothing more than distractions to buy time. The Supreme Kai attempts to intervene, but Deborah quickly overpowers him and sends him flying. Kibito screams in desperation, knowing that Supreme Kai must not fall. But before he can act, Deborah appears before him and incinerates him on the spot, leaving Trunks shouting in horror as Babidi uses his magic to strangle the Supreme Kai with telekinesis. Fueled by rage, Trunks powers up even further to Super Saiyan 2, lightning bolts flickering around him as his energy surges. Babidi shows a hint of concern, though Deborah remains confident that Trunks is still outmatched. The tide begins to shift as Trunks lands a series of strong hits, aided by the Supreme Kai using his own telekinetic powers to momentarily freeze Deborah in place. Seizing the opening, Trunks fires a devastating blast that finally destroys the demon and Babidi as well. With the battle over, the Supreme Kai takes a moment to celebrate the return of peace before collapsing from exhaustion as Trunks rushes to his side. Far above, perched atop a cliff, Black watches with amusement. He finds it truly delightful that this world now exists without a god of destruction from Universe 7. Back in the present-day timeline, Trunks concludes his explanation to Goku and the others, revealing that not long after that moment, Black suddenly appeared and began murdering people. Whis quietly tells Beerus that he most likely died in Trunks' timeline. Very few beings know that the death of a Supreme Kai causes the linked god of destruction to die as well. That kind of knowledge is typically reserved for high-ranking deities. Beerus starts to wonder whether Black is a god himself. Whis is more disturbed by the fact that Black seems capable of freely traveling between parallel worlds. Trunks admits that this is the first time he's even heard of a god of destruction, leading to his official introduction to both Beerus and Whis. With the time machine needing to recharge, Bulma sends Trunks off to change clothes. During this time, Trunks meets his counterpart from the present timeline, congratulates him for achieving Super Saiyan already, and urges him to protect his friends. He also meets the current version of Mai, though he doesn't appear to recognize Pilaf or Shu from his own timeline. As he walks off, quietly mourning future Mai, present Mai remarks on how dreamy he is. In the future timeline, Black senses that Trunks' presence has completely vanished from this world. He notes that the other universe's Supreme Kai and their corresponding gods of destruction have been wiped out as well, leaving no one to oppose him. Still, unwilling to underestimate a Saiyan, he decides to keep investigating. Nearby, a stray cat discovers Mai's body among the rubble. Back in the present, Goku and the others enjoy a meal while Beerus and Whis casually debate the larger consequences. Vito is able to hold brings the match to a halt as those who explains that Zamasu once served as the whole universe and is now the that was the Supreme from Universe Battle. I was believed that defeating he goes on to say that they only succeeded thanks to the help of Scaling and his friends. Someone who's backed by the idea of attaining the power of gods and begins to work balance it. His skills are at their peak, but they now need to work on themselves. To observe many, respect the race should be eradicated. Shocking Gosu that such sounds great. Especially behind the item battle for the free. Since development 1,000 years as the while this is their currency, Gosu wonders aloud what they might be like 1,000 years from now. To find out, he pulls out a and artifact some of the sources revealed. To travel into the future and return safely to their region. Some of the swift plasma possibly travel into the forbidden and highly dangerous. Altering history spawns a divergent world, creating a new timeline. There are now someone has recently desire to with their plan. Since only Supreme Kai he reminds Zamasu that he has to witness on the same side before refusing. A scenario Zamasu clearly doesn't find amusing. The two gods travel forward in time, and at first glance, the focus is Zamasu spots shelters, evidence of the further,
Let's do it,
that the Barbarians remain one of bitter warfare, perhaps worse than ever. Convinced that the universe will be better without the surviving against
nothing can stand up against me now! Why? This bomb is supposed to have power over 180,000! This can't be happening!
It slashes the attacker in two, ending its life with a cold smile. Gosu yells at Zamasu to return at once, and the two gods instantly fall back. Once they arrive, Gosu demands the return of the earring and an explanation for what just occurred. Zamasu responds bluntly, "These vile creatures have no right to exist, and are nothing but trash." Gosu questions why Zamasu hates mortals so much, and the two engage in a disagreement in intervening with mortal life. Zamasu questions the point of being a Supreme Kai if their role is only to observe and never to act. Gosu stresses the importance of fairness, reason, and impartiality in the role of God, noting that Zamasu's time in achieving his power must be used in an effort to balance his heart. Shaken by the ordeal, he instructs Zamasu to prepare him some tea. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the heroes are caught up in an intense go-kart race via video game. As Vegeta struggles to take a corner at high speed, Beerus seizes the opportunity to pull into first place. The younger Trunks isn't having it and tosses a turtle shell at the God of Destruction, allowing future Trunks to snatch victory. As Beerus and Whis prepare to leave, Goku reminds future Trunks to get some rest before their showdown with Black. Trunks insists he wants to join the battle, and Vegeta invites him to the gravity chamber room in the morning for training. Back in Universe 10, Zamasu is re-watching the battle between Goku and Hit on God 2. Gosu enters and finds Zamasu actively searching for Son Goku. When asked about it, Zamasu brushes the question aside and instead brings up the Omni King's unexpected appearance at the tournament, disgusted that mortals can actually be close in power to the gods of destruction. He curiously asks about the mysterious floating orbs seen at the event, prompting Gosu to explain that they're likely the Super Dragon Balls, magical relics capable of granting any wish. As morning arrives, young Trunks climbs out of bed, while future Trunks is already deep into a sparring session with Vegeta inside the gravity chamber. Goku sits in quiet meditation above a pond, while Beerus groggily awakens. Soon after, Universe 7's Supreme Kai arrives, per Beerus' request. Beerus elaborates, suggesting they consider the possibility of a god who might seek to wipe out humanity altogether. The Supreme Kai hesitates, then admits that someone like that might exist. Goku joins in as the Supreme Kai finally reveals the name, Kibito. Yes, Kibito, his own attendant, has made some questionable comments about mortals in the past, including suggesting that humans shouldn't be allowed in the Supreme Kai world. Goku says that Kibito being Goku Black seems far-fetched, but Beerus still wants to investigate. Just then, Whis receives a divine transmission from the Grand Priest. The Omni King wishes to see Goku immediately. This shocks Beerus as Goku hesitates, not particularly eager to go, especially since Whis would need 2 days to get there. Luckily, the Supreme Kai offers to teleport them directly, cutting the travel time entirely. Beerus orders Whis to accompany them and harshly reminds Goku to behave and not to mention anything about Goku Black. Before they go, he also tells the Supreme Kai that under no circumstances should he be killed. Upon arrival, the trio are greeted by the Grand Priest himself. In typical Goku fashion, he cheerfully introduces himself. Whis offers an apology for Goku's casual attire, but the Grand Priest, seemingly unfazed, admits that this is probably the most formal Goku ever gets. As they make their way to meet the Omni King, Goku quietly notes to Whis that the Grand Priest gives off powerful aura. Whis agrees, but quickly warns Goku not to request a sparring match or anything reckless. He goes on to say that not even he can stand up to the Grand Priest in a fight, which excites Goku. Goku then wonders aloud if they should bring up the Goku Black situation, reasoning that someone like Black wouldn't stand a chance against the Grand Priest. But Whis firmly tells him that angels must remain neutral and are never to engage in combat. More importantly, if the Omni King were to learn of the situation prematurely, he might wipe out the entire universe without hesitation. Once inside, the Omni King greets the group with childlike enthusiasm and declares that he wants a friend. Goku will be perfect. Goku, a little caught off guard, questions if that's the sole reason he was summoned. The Supreme Kai attempts to reassure the Omni King that Goku would love to play with him, but the Omni King immediately tells him to be quiet. Curious about names, the Omni King asks what he should call Goku, and Goku replies that his regular name is fine. The Omni King then requests a nickname for himself, which Goku jokingly replies, Zenny. The sheer boldness of the nickname causes the Supreme Kai to faint in shock. Goku tries to pivot the conversation, asking if they're going to talk about the multiversal tournament that was teased after Xenoverse 6 and 7's match. The Omni King says they'll get to that later. Right now, he just wants to play. Goku explains that he's busy with some urgent matters and can't stay to play at the moment. Though the Omni King's attendants begin to scold him and lunge into attack, the Omni King silences them too. Goku promises to return once he's resolved his current business and says he'll even bring someone who might make an even better friend. In response, the Omni King presents Goku with a button he can press at any time to summon him. As Goku scoops up the fainted Supreme Kai and departs with Whis, the Grand Priest quietly reflects on what an interesting companion Goku might become for the Omni King, noting even he's excited to see him again. Elsewhere, Gowasu steps away from his duties and calls out to Zamasu to prepare him some tea, but his apprentice is nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, on Zuno's planet, Zamasu is receiving instructions on how to use the Super Dragon Balls. Zuno appears hesitant to continue answering questions, but Zamasu leans into his divine authority as a Kai to demand more specific information, going so far as to threaten Zuno's life. Zamasu discovers that since the artifacts have been used recently, the Super Dragon Balls cannot be used for a year. He then demands the precise location of each Dragon Ball. Back on Earth, a visibly irritated Beerus awaits the group's return. He thanks him for his patience, while Goku cheerfully comments on how friendly Zenny is. Beerus is appalled by the nickname, but Whis is more focused on the so-called friend Goku promised the Omni King. Goku admits that he didn't actually have anyone in mind. It just seemed like the only way the Omni King would let them leave. Jokingly, he suggests that maybe Beerus should go, since he always has so much free time. The conversation shifts as everyone turns their attention back to the matter of Goku Black. The Supreme Kai, still confused, asks who this mysterious individual even is. Just then, Oma arrives, and Goku begins explaining everything they know so far. The Supreme Kai is taken aback upon learning that he dies in the future, and it suddenly becomes clear to him as to why Beerus had earlier inquired about any gods with potentially dangerous beliefs. Goku brings up the moment when the Supreme Kai had pointed the finger at Kibito, which prompts the Kai to admit that he hadn't realized just how complex the situation truly was. At that moment, Bulma chimes in to let the group know that they've got company. Old Kai and Kibito have just arrived on Earth. Beerus, believing Kibito to be the prime suspect, prepares to destroy him, but confused, he steps forward and clarifies the situation. A sage named Stuno reached out to the Supreme Kai realm, reporting that Zamasu from Universe 10 had visited to ask about the Super Dragon Balls. Beerus isn't familiar with Zamasu, so the Supreme Kai elaborates. Zamasu is a Kai from Universe 10 currently training to become a Supreme Kai. He likely witnessed the Universe 6 vs 7 tournament on GodTube, which apparently was illegally uploaded. Kibito adds that Zamasu even asked whether it would be possible to use the Super Dragon Balls to switch the bodies of a god and a mortal, shocking everyone. With all the pieces in place, the realization becomes clear. Zamasu must have swapped bodies with Goku, and that is who Goku Black truly is. Trunks, however, is confused. Goku in his timeline had died long ago, so how could Zamasu have taken over his body? Beerus explains that the Supreme Kai possess time rings, which allow them to access parallel timelines. But there's a problem. Zamasu is still just a Kai, not yet a Supreme Kai. How could he have gotten his hands on a time ring? Digging deeper, they ask Trunks if Goku Black wears a Patara earring. He confirms this, but is unsure. He respects that. Still, he's been this timeline. It's all the struggles in that alternate future. This word of potentially eliminate them to travel and destroy Zama. However, the Supreme Kai hesitates, pointing out that it screams it's better. It's the base. It says it's it's up to the also insists that its mission is traveling for the gods. The Supreme Kai has to take the two to Zamasu right away, but Beerus has something else on mind for him. With that, Beerus and Whis depart, leaving the others behind. Vegeta vents his frustration, annoyed that Zamasu chose to target Kakarot instead of him. Then again, he admits, Monaka was the real hero of the Universe tournament. He soon informs the group that they've gathered enough energy to power the time machine. Goku and Vegeta are ready to head out. They can't afford to wait for Beerus and Whis. Future Trunks acknowledges his readiness as well, and promises his mother to come back alive. Meanwhile, Beerus and Whis arrive in Universe 10 and are greeted by Goasu in the Supreme Kai realm. After a polite exchange, they explain that they wish to speak with his disciple. But Zamasu has gone out, and for the first time ever, without Goasu's permission. In response, Beerus decides to wait for his return. Elsewhere, Goku and Vegeta confirm that they brought sensu beans and travel to the future with Trunks. Upon arrival, they're stunned by the devastation. Black quickly senses their energy, and both sides begin to prepare for battle. As Trunks shrinks the time machine into a capsule, he spots the cat from before and immediately follows it. In his pursuit, he stumbles across Mai and realizes she's still alive. He calls out for a sensu, chews it himself, and places it into Mai's mouth. Goku is stunned by the recognizing to stay back while they take it. But if the fight goes south, once the scoop changed from before, that can truly win. Trunks, confident.
Never lose sight of
this sensing a barren area to avoid the situation, she steps forward. But first, it's no time revealing that admits that he killed the version of Goku, but expresses curiosity. This time, Vegeta doesn't get hurt. Then, he immediately powers up his Super Saiyans. Black withstands the onslaught, seemingly blocking each strike with precision. Then, as the battle rages on, they observe from a distance. It's been a while since he's seen Black transform. Vegeta presses on, landing several solid blows that push Black to already the electric barrier.
Finally see your place in your mind.
Since Black stole Goku's face, Super Saiyan Blue as weapons. Transforms into Super Saiyan Blue. Black responds with visible frustration, admitting that he can't access that form. Mocking him and praising the he can't acquire true strength, just skills. To be better, his moment, the Universe 7 this Zamasu's impending forms every one of his crimes, and Beerus makes up his mind to destroy him, sealing his and explanation from a stupid misunderstandings. This beautiful genetic black continues. Though it is like that, reminds Black that himself only the Supreme Most Universes turned down the Black Nintendo's don't change the fact that he this Vegeta has no patience for so-called justice and continues to overpower him with means. Black's range. Backing in and investigating his forms his signature. Do anything, Beerus intervenes. Destruction places his hands on Zamasu's face and obliterates him in a single motion. Takes a moment to chastise Zamasu for his poor judgment, while Universe 7 Supreme Kai suggests they return immediately to relay an urgent discovery to Goku. In the future,
I'm calling you. Use it.
To watch the infinite that Vegeta has taking Vegeta, telling him to forget about giving him a turn and just finish him. Vegeta
Hey, bitch.
Intervenes, rescuing Black at the last possible second and using his signal to the nearby rooftop. At that same time, it reveals to Beerus that Black wasn't working alone in the future. He had a partner. That partner has now revealed himself, having not only saved Black, but also restored him to full strength. Together, Goku, Black, and Zamasu stand united, two beings working in tandem, inching ever closer to completing their twisted vision, the Zero Mortal Plan. The Saiyans are stunned to see Zamasu standing right beside Black. After all, Black was supposed to be Zamasu, inhabiting Goku's body. The sight of both of them together throws everything they thought they understood into question. Meanwhile,
Jessica
back in the
called
present,
me.
Bulma informs Beerus that Goku and the others have already traveled to the future. She then raises the question on everyone's mind. Why are there two Zamasu? The Supreme Kai provides an explanation. If the Zamasu who took over Goku's body originated from their own timeline, then it would naturally follow that another, separate version of Zamasu exists within Trunks' timeline as well. As the puzzle pieces start to align, Vegeta connects the remaining dots while both versions of Zamasu express confusion over the sudden arrival of these intruders in their world. Zamasu explains that there should only be 5 parallel timelines, all of which are accounted for, so he's puzzled when he notices a 6th time ring inside the box. Vegeta remarks that his past self must have been destroyed by Beerus, resulting in the birth of yet another timeline where Zamasu no longer exists. Black then concludes that Goku and Vegeta must have traveled here from the past. After some condescending remarks and posturing, Vegeta launches in with an aggressive assault, but Black, having grown even stronger, quickly turns the tide. Black admits that Vegeta was right earlier. Simply stealing Goku's body hadn't been enough. At first, he couldn't properly tap into Super Saiyan power, let alone access Super Saiyan Blue.
What time was
Through
this?
repeated battles, he came to understand the true key to Saiyan strength. Trunks speculates whether he means the Saiyan trainer being stronger after recovering from near-death experiences. In the present, the Supreme Kai confirms it. Black had been deliberately exploiting that very Saiyan trait, combining it with Zamasu's healing ability to continuously evolve and increase his power. The fight continues as Vegeta takes heavy damage, leading Goku to offer him a Senzu beam. Vegeta exchanges blows with Black, but it's clear he now has the upper hand. Trunks deduces.
Let me see what's going on. I got a text for some reason. Jessica, I got a text. Uh, okay. Okay. But, okay. Okay. Should I go just call Christina tomorrow? Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Okay then. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Okie dokie. Okay. Okay. Bye. Oh, so her car broke down. Oh, shiz. No way.
Is that his father and Goku can no longer benefit from the same recovery-based power boosts as Black did, due to the intense training they've undergone over the years. Zamasu once again heals Black, increasing his strength to a level that surpasses what any mortal could ever hope to reach. With this, Black powers up into an entirely new form, now marked by striking pink hair. Goku takes notice of the transformation, and Zamasu explains that unlike mortals, whose energy turns blue at this stage of surpassing Super Saiyan God, divine power manifests as a pink or light crimson color. Embracing the trend of Saiyan naming conventions, Black announces the name of his new form, Super Saiyan Rose. Rather than teaming up, Goku and Vegeta decide to split their efforts. Vegeta continues battling Black, while Goku turns his focus to Zamasu. At first, Goku seems to be holding his own too easily, declaring to end the fight as soon as possible. When he counters one of Zamasu's attacks by flinging back a large chunk of the levitated debris, it impales the god, and Goku powers down to Super Saiyan, prompting Trunks to stop. Speed going steady. Zamasu simply
Give me your best shot.
Zamasu before the kid warning them. Zamasu continues to sleep pummels Vegeta.
Some nice
Screams for everyone to retreat. Black
I'm starting to
pointing
like
out that
you.
Trunks was the very one who helped him grow stronger through their repeated fight.
Wow.
Desperate to buy time, Trunks shouts for Goku and Mai to close their eyes and unleashes a blinding solar flare on both Zamasu and Black. Seizing the opportunity, Trunks leads the others underground, where they begin to formulate a plan. Goku recalls a technique passed down by Master Roshi, a method used to seal away a great evil using a rice cooker, the evil containment wave. He wonders if this ancient technique could work on Zamasu to counter his immortality. Trunks agrees to try, and insists that they return to the past immediately to learn it. Meanwhile, Black is temporarily unable to sense the sands, as they master suppressing their energy. But smirking, Black pinpoints something else, Mai's energy signature, and teleports away with Zamasu in pursuit. When the gods arrive, they spot hooded figures attempting to flee, but it's a ruse. It's just a group of mannequins, part of Mai's diversion. Leaping out with her shotgun, Mai opens fire while Trunks emerges from behind, driving his sword straight into Zamasu's back. From a distance, Goku turns to Trunks and offers a quiet apology.
You need a certain level of skill. You've trained to be part of the
Vegeta is
Crescent
so
Corps.
cool, makes his
Do your
move
best to strike while demonstrating
training
proper
session with
technique.
Bule.
If you make the mistake of even imitating, I'll make you walk
To be seen. Is the master.
You are capable
He is
of
left. With everyone to a fixed point in time, but rather to
That's
next
enough.
trip will likely be their
Perform
last.
quite
Supreme Kai abruptly
admirably.
stands,
You are
stating
a
that he
short
intends to
step
visit
away
Goku
from
from
joining our
his
illustrious
condolences
ranks.
and bring him up to
Counting
speed
on
on
you.
everything that's
Ready?
transpired.
Don't
He's, however,
disappoint
seems
me.
skeptical of this explanation. Meanwhile, Beerus says he won't be going to the future, reminding Goku and the others that he already dealt with the Zamasu in this timeline, so now the rest is on their shoulders. Goku wonders aloud what the Whis of the future might be doing, but Whis explains that angels become inactive when their associated god is no longer alive. In other words, they're completely without divine support in Trunks' timeline. Vegeta, uninterested in the evil containment wave altogether, takes his leave, adamant that he'll defeat Black and Zamasu in his own way, even if that means taking on the Super Saiyan Rose headline. Back in the future, Trunks is getting relentlessly beaten down by Black, who wears a smug grin the entire time. Mai rushes in and manages to land a hit, but Black retaliates with a violent ki blast from his eyes that sends her flying. Trunks seizes the moment to leap back and attempts a solar flare, but before he can follow through, Zamasu hurls Trunks' sword at him, forcing him to dodge. Despite the overwhelming odds, Trunks remains determined to fight, while the two twisted gods are just as set on killing him. Black, tired of the back and forth, decides to end things once and for all. Mai still tries to assist, attempting to hand Trunks his sword, but he shouts for her to run and get as far away as possible. Just as Black prepares to unleash his finishing attack, Zamasu appears out of nowhere with Xenoverse 2nd Supreme Kai, stealing Trunks and Mai while teleporting them to safety. Zamasu is momentarily baffled, convinced they died long ago, but Black assumes they must have appeared from the past. Trunks is anxious to see Supreme Kai again, explains that he'd been waiting for the right moment to intervene, traveling via time. Zamasu humbly bows and offers a heartfelt apology to Trunks, who's visibly surprised to see a god apologizing to him. They're now hiding in the future version of the Supreme Kai realm, which is completely deserted due to Zamasu's past genocidal rampage. At the very least, it provides a safe space to lay low until Goku and Vegeta return. Elsewhere in the present, Master Roshi, the Turtle Hermit, watches Goku struggle as he practices the evil containment wave, the sealing technique passed down to him by his master. Goku isn't landing the jar seal properly, and Roshi notes it's because he's attacking too forcefully instead of focusing on finesse. Goku, growing frustrated, questions why the old master can't just go seal Zamasu himself. Roshi explains that the evil containment wave requires immense strength and can even kill the user. But Goku, too caught up in his own rush to learn the move, doesn't fully heed the warning. Roshi simply turns to go inside to finish preparing the sealing charm. Back in the devastated future, Black and Zamasu discuss their next move. Now that the other Supreme Kai know of their plan, there's a real possibility someone might inform Zeno, the Omni King. They contemplate leaving Earth, but not before killing the remaining humans first. The Supreme Kai quietly watches over the sleeping Trunks and Kai, reflecting that he wishes Kibito were here to heal them. Gosu, staring off in thought, observes that healing was a divine gift meant to aid Kibito's life. Yet, it has now been turned into a tool of cruelty. Perhaps, he muses, the extent of divine power should be more carefully restricted. Suddenly, both gods sense a horrifying truth. Goku, Black, and Zamasu have resumed their massacre on the Earth's survivors. Gosu, unwilling to hide any longer, decides it's time to take responsibility for his former student. Despite the Supreme Kai's attempt to stop him, Gosu departs for Earth. There, he finds Black and Zamasu at another shelter, targeting innocent survivors. Confronting them, Gosu questions Black directly, challenging his distorted view of a peaceful world. The conversation quickly devolves into a philosophical clash about humanity's role, both its flaws and its potential. Black even admits that he killed off the other gods in fear of retaliation for his ideology. Despite Gosu's repeated pleas, Black remains unmoved. As the Supreme Kai, Trunks, and Mai arrive to intervene, Gosu extends a hand to Black in a final gesture of hope, only for Black to slip past it and stab him straight through the chest. With cold satisfaction, Black declares that this makes the third time he's killed Gosu, his own master, the future Zamasu's master, and now this alternate version from a separate past. As Gosu's lifeless body collapses, Vegeta emerges from the hyperbolic time chamber, and Goku steps forward, now seemingly having perfected the evil containment wave. As the Supreme Kai erupts with rage over the attack on Gosu, vowing to make Black pay, Zamasu suddenly charges in, delivering a strike while berating the Kai. Trunks clutches onto Gosu, begging him to hang on. The Kai then suddenly begins coughing up blood, signaling that he's still alive, if only barely. Trunks quickly shouts for Mai to get Gosu to safety, then powers up to Super Saiyan and launches himself back into the fight. Elsewhere, Goku and Vegeta arrive back in the future just in time. Though everyone is still alive, they can sense that Trunks' energy levels are rapidly dropping. They arrive via instant transmission and, assessing the situation, Vegeta immediately claims Black as his opponent and tells Goku to focus on sealing Zamasu with the evil containment wave. Before doing so, Goku runs over to give Trunks a sensu beam. Zamasu tries to intercept with a blast, but Goku walks in the nick of time, bringing both Trunks and the Supreme Kai with him. As they land, Vegeta stops in front of the group and asks Goku for a sensu beam to give to Gosu. Back on the battlefield, Vegeta and Black face off with a brief exchange of glares and smug remarks. Suddenly, Vegeta transforms not into Super Saiyan Blue, but into the original Super Saiyan God form. Black scoffs, assuming Vegeta has lost his mind, but he can't help being unsettled by how calm and self-assured Vegeta appears. As the battle kicks off, Vegeta easily avoids Black's attacks. Black notices something strange. Vegeta's speed spikes right at the last moment before impact. Before Black can react, Vegeta lands a devastating hit that sends him crashing through a nearby building. Furious and confused, Black still can't decipher what Vegeta is doing. While the intense battle continues, Goku uses a sensu to heal Goku and the others, reducing their already limited supply to just one. He confirms to Trunks that he's mastered the evil containment wave, and even shows off a capsule containing the sealing jar. As they watch Vegeta dominate his fight, they realize something's different. Despite only using Super Saiyan God, a weaker form than Bule, Vegeta is still overwhelmed with Black. Goku explains that Vegeta is rapidly switching into Super Saiyan Blue at the very last moment of each strike, maximizing damage while conserving stamina. Goku admits that he used the same technique during his battle with Bule, but Vegeta has clearly perfected it to an entirely new degree. Zamasu then swoops in, catching Vegeta off guard with a flying kick and suggests they come together. Goku re-enters the containment wave. As he prepares, Black eyes the battlefield suspiciously, noticing the jar and wondering what it's doing there. Vegeta fires off a few blasts to get Black's attention again, while Zamasu, ever confident in his immortality, shows no concern about the strange jar. Then, in a swift and precise move, Goku activates the evil containment wave, successfully capturing Zamasu and sealing him inside the jar. Trunks rushes in to help tie the lid shut while Goku fumbles for the magical charm. only to realize he grabbed a Hostess bar discount.
Greetings, devastating. I would like you to relinquish the program.
Please, here's the proceed.
That's all. I can't complete my mission alone.
So man,
Let me go.
You lack the which I expect. So you choose to die rather than give up program.
Upset that their plan seems to be failing, Black smiles. It's too late what they're about to do. Two officers raise their hands and attach their lips on. All universes is born, fused Zamasu. Goku and Vegeta now find themselves up against the terrifying despite their best efforts. Yes. For a moment, it seems like a turning point until the whole Zamasu body confirming that his immortality remains intact. Zamasu then uses the celebration of devastating wave of rage to destroy and offers Goku his Patara earrings. With these, Goku and Vegeta confuse into Vegito, a fusion strong enough to challenge Zamasu's might. But Vegeta immediately refuses, firmly reiterating that he vowed to never fuse again. Goku, having anticipated this response, nods in agreement, content to continue fighting on their own. The two even settle who will get to go first with a brief interaction. Goku takes his turn in Super Protest that Patara fusion is supposed to be permanent. Clarifies that permanence only applies to some time has a wonderful effect. Zamasu was never kind of self is given. How to inside for the sake of the world, Black took her life before she began that journey. Meanwhile, Goku, battered tearing off the entire right half of his body. It's none other than Vegito, the fusion of Goku and Vegeta, reborn once again. Vegito steps forward, quickly explaining that both fusions are now temporary, limited to 1 hour. He chews up the final sensu, restoring his energy, and immediately powers up to Super Saiyan Blue. His strategy is simple: obliterate Zamasu so thoroughly that there's nothing left to regenerate. Vegito charges in with relentless force, delivering a barrage of devastating effortless seamlessly dodging counterattacks while continuing to land blow after punishing blow. Watching from the sidelines, the Supreme Kai of both universes stare on in awe, completely stunned by the overwhelming power on display. Zamasu bursts out of the rubble and grabs Vegito by the legs, only for Vegito to counter with a key sword, slicing both of the god's arms clean off. Even as Zamasu regenerates once more and readies a new wave of Kachin projectiles, Vegito prepares his ultimate attack, the final Kamehameha. At the same time, Universe 7's Supreme Kai wonders aloud if Vegito's strength has already surpassed Lord Beerus. Just as the warriors move in for their finishing moves, Vegito's fusion abruptly wears off. Goku and Vegeta split apart, standing side by side once more. Stunned, they're pummeled by the incoming wave of Kachin. With Goku and Vegeta defused, Trunks and the others wonder why the fusion ended prematurely. Gowasu speculates that the two may have been too powerful for the Katara to contain, while Zamasu argues that mortals were never meant to wield the sacred treasure of the gods. In his anger, he opens a rift-like portal and viciously knocks Goku to the ground, repeating the same act with Vegeta. With roughly 20 minutes still remaining on Zamasu's own fusion, he wastes no time resuming his assault. He launches a series of attacks, his fists and feet warping through portals that surround the two warriors. Universe 7's Supreme Kai openly laments his current role, admitting that had he remained an apprentice rather than ascending to full Supreme Kai, he would still possess the ability to heal. That comment sparks a realization in Trunks, who reveals that in his own timeline, he had actually taken on the role of Supreme Kai apprentice in preparation for his battle against Deborah. Thanks to completing that ritualistic dance, Trunks learned the power of restoration, and it suddenly clicks that it's likely why he was able to instinctively heal both Mai and Gowasu after they suffered what should have been fatal injuries. He saved them without realizing. As the battle rages on, Vegeta is struck hard and sent flying through the air. Trunks quickly leaps up, catches him mid-fall, and brings him back to safety. Trunks prepares to heal Vegeta, though the Supreme Kai tells him he'll only be able to heal one person as powerful as a Super Saiyan Blue. So who will it be, Goku or Vegeta? Without hesitation, Vegeta makes the call himself. He tells Trunks to heal Kakarot, acknowledging that Goku is the only one currently capable of facing Zamasu at full strength in Super Saiyan Blue. Apparently, it became clear to him while they refused. Vegeta launches back onto Goku, who's being mercilessly tortured by Zamasu, yanked through swirling portals and struck with a series of crushing blows. Vegeta intercepts Goku mid-attack and hurls him back down toward Trunks. Zamasu, uncaring of who feels his wrath, pursues Vegeta, though the Saiyan Prince manages to blast his way out of his hole. Down and devoid of energy, looking to distract Zamasu as long as possible, Vegeta finds himself on the end of a merciless thrashing from the deity, aiming to make him suffer until his body can't take anymore. In the meantime, Trunks uses to fully heal Goku. Unfortunately, the healing comes just as Vegeta is overwhelmed and knocked unconscious. As Goku steadies himself for another round against Zamasu, Trunks expends a bit of his remaining energy to at least awaken his father. Goku ascends to Super Saiyan Blue once again, but this time something is different. He pauses and adopts a serene, centered stance. When he attacks, his movements are precise and controlled, weaving through Zamasu's chaotic portal strikes and managing to land a solid hit, even as one of Zamasu's fists lands a clean punch on his face. Watching from the sidelines, Vegeta comments, Kakarot has somehow stabilized the immense power of Super Saiyan Blue, allowing him to fight with his full potential. This is the completed transformation in action. Goku continues to hold his ground evenly against Zamasu, though the battle is far from over. He even manages to stop and redirect a massive energy spear aimed directly at him. Vegeta wonders how long Goku can maintain this perfect balance, as the power of Super Saiyan Blue within his body could break at any moment. It soon becomes clear that Goku's body is starting to show signs of strain, his muscles twitching under the pressure. Meanwhile, Zamasu, despite everything, has already returned to peak condition. Goku dodged his way through an intense round against fused Zamasu, struggling to counter the god's overwhelming telekinetic abilities. Despite being tossed around and restrained, Goku manages to fire off a one-handed Kamehameha that Zamasu barely avoids. Goku rushes back in, and the battle resumes, both fighters increasing the damage on one another. Infuriated, Zamasu tears off his tattered shirt in disbelief, unable to comprehend how his spiritually divine body is taking so much damage. At the same time, Goku is physically pushing himself to his limits, his energy waning, his control slipping. He decides to vent his remaining energy with his next attack, and a mini aura surrounds his face. Zamasu explodes in anger, bellowing that he'll obliterate the entire galaxy as his aura fills the atmosphere. Trunks believes Zamasu still have reserves of strength, but Vegeta explains that his anger is preventing him from restoring his physical stamina, a mistake that cost him the battle. Zamasu lunges toward Goku, but just before the two clash, the Saiyan retaliates with a completely unexpected move, the same destruction technique Beerus had once used on Zamasu in the present timeline. As part of Zamasu's body begins to disintegrate from the attack, he quickly opens a portal and yanks Mai into the path of the technique, forcing Goku to halt the move to avoid harming her. Taking advantage of Goku's hesitation, Zamasu strikes him down with a brutal kick that knocks him unconscious.